Hi, I'm Brian.
And I'm Janet.
And we are
Distinctive.
So we are dual income, no kids who enjoy visiting Walt Disney World. And we like to give a little bit of advice and tips and tricks from a perspective of visiting Walt Disney World without children. And we like to open up each episode with what we call our magic word of the day. And today's magic word is springs.
Which sounds weird, but will make sense in just a minute. So every time you hear that word, springs, that is your cue to enjoy your frosty libation of choice. And we will do so right along with you. It's going to be a fun time. So today we're going to talk about the main topic of matching your kind of your vacation vibe, or matching your hotel to your vibe. So Disney World's a big place. There's tons of stuff to do there. You can't ever do all of it, even if you have a long trip. And often we'll go on short trips of, maybe 3 to 6 days. And so it's enough time that we want to get some stuff done, but it helps to focus by deciding what is the vibe, what is the general idea of this vacation. So for example, if we're going down for Food and Wine Fest, maybe it's a foodie trip and we want everything to be about having great food, restaurant reservations. Or maybe we're going down with some friends who've maybe never been before, or haven't been since they were kids, and we want to show them adult Disney World. So today's topic is going to be about that, kind of taking that focus idea and figuring out which hotel in particular might help maximize that for you.
So we like to start each episode with a little game, and today's game is going to be keep, update, or eliminate of the nighttime shows.
Extravaganza.
So pick 3 of them and let me know which 3 you'd like to keep, update, or eliminate.
All right, I'm ready. Give me the list.
You're ready. Okay. So I'm going to do Happily Ever After, Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do Rivers of Light, Animal Kingdom. And I'm going to do Star Wars: A Galactic Spectacular at Hollywood Studios.
Okay. I'm going to keep Star Wars. I think that, with Star Wars Land, officially Galaxy's Edge opening up, that is going to be one that should stick around for a while. I think that show is pretty well done, and the projections are fun, and the pyrotechnics are cool, so I keep it. I would, I guess, update Happily Ever After, because I think it's pretty good. I like that they put into there some of the music from less common Disney animated movies, like Hercules, and I think and Moana's in there, so I like that. I would like more of that, but the storyline is not quite as good as Wishes, so I wish it would kind of tighten the storyline up a little bit, and that would mean getting rid of Rivers of Light, which is probably the right decision. Not a huge fan of Rivers of Light. It's pretty.
It's pretty. Okay.
All right, so that gives me the remainder to give to you then. So let's see here. That gives us Illuminations.
Mm-hmm. Reflections of Earth.
At Epcot. We have Fantasmic.
At Hollywood Studios.
And I'm going to throw in there the Electric Water Pageant, which is the little boat parade that goes around Seven Seas Lagoon.
I'm going to keep the Electric Water Parade. I think anytime you mix lights and boats together, it's an amazing thing. I'm a South Florida born and raised native, and those are boat shows, boat parades that we always attended. So I always love lights and boats together.
But you don't like Rivers of Light? It's like all it is.
Well, you didn't give me Rivers of Light.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
so I keep the Electric Boat Parade. I would update Illuminations, Reflections of Earth, and it seems like they're actually working on that now. They're building it now.
They're building it now.
Yeah, so update that. Music's outdated. It feels a little too 80s, 90-ish, early 90s. They need to do something better with the fireworks display because of the wind that comes off of the lake. It just, it's hit or miss on whether or not you're going to get a good view. So update,
Eliminations.
And then I would eliminate Phantasmic. I just, the whole Mickey theming for adults, don't really need it. I'm not a big Mickey Mouse fan. He's not my favorite character by any means. And yeah, there's a story to go along with it, but after the fourth point and shoot with his fingers over it with the, fireworks are coming out, you get the idea. I mean, you really only watch the first 2 minutes. It's like an EDM festival. All right. So that's how we play the game. Keep, update, eliminate. So let's go to our main topic, matching vibes to Walt Disney World resorts. And how we broke this up into categories is a set of six vibes that we're matching the resorts to, and we categorize the resorts for value/moderate. We'll either pick one value or one moderate resort, and then also for each one we'll pick one deluxe resort.
Yeah. Side note, as we were doing this, we realized there really aren't that many moderate resorts anymore. Disney used to classify the DVC, which is Disney Vacation Club, the Disney timeshares. Mm-hmm. They used to classify them as moderate if you book them directly through Disney, mm-hmm. but we saw on the website that that's not true anymore. Now they're rated as deluxe villas, whatever that means. I think it means they can just increase the price, but really a lot of the DVC properties, aside from the ones that are associated with deluxe hotels, the standalones like Saratoga Springs and Old Key West really do have more of that moderate quality to them. Yep. In that 3-tier pricing structure. So just something to keep in mind if you're booking hotels on Disney website, that just because it's listed as deluxe villa doesn't necessarily mean it's deluxe in feel.
So the first vibe we're going to discuss about is going to Walt Disney World as a first-time visitor. Yay!
I love bringing first-timers.
Yes.
I love it.
So
I can be a show-off, you-know-it-all all day long.
Well, what would you recommend for first-time visitors for a value/moderate resort?
So the one that we went with on this one, I thought the theming is important, and also the location of the hotel on the property is important. Disney, as I've mentioned many times, is a huge place. So when you start thinking about getting around by public transit, which is what I would recommend for a first timer, to use the Disney bus system, etc., rather than renting a car. The one that pops to mind on the cheaper end of the price spectrum is Art of Animation. It's got great theming. It's a newer hotel within that category, and it's right in the middle of things. And once the Skyliner is built, it's even more going to be close proximity and easy to get to both Hollywood Studios and Epcot. So,
yeah,
Art of Animation.
I would agree with that. It's well themed without being in your face about it, like I feel like the All-Stars are with the theming. And also I think the first thing that comes to your mind when you say Disney anyways is the animation, right? Mm-hmm. The animated movies and cartoons. And so you get that theming and that feel from Art of Animation. So it really is quintessential Disney.
This is a hotel that's a little bit more kid friendly because it's got all the kind of the bright colors and the animation theme and all of that. But a lot of the time, first timers, they kind of want some of that because they want to feel that childlike thing. So the hotel Art of Animation really helps with that. All right, what about the deluxe on the first timers?
Deluxe, we went with Grand Floridian, and that is, again, predominantly based on theming. It's crucially important that you actually feel like you went somewhere outside of the norm, like you were transported to another time and place when you walked into this resort. That's what makes Disney Disney. So Grand Floridian is that exceptionally. It's got that Victorian theme, Floridian feel to it that you wouldn't get today anymore. You kind of are transported into a different world. And again, location being very important. On the monorail loop to Magic Kingdom, where first timers, you're gonna want to go to the Magic Kingdom at least 2 days in your trip. Because it's one of the largest in terms of rides for certain.
Yeah.
It's the original, so you're going to want to spend a lot of time there. So that's, the predominant reasons why Grand Floridian for Deluxe.
I can hear all the Disneyland fanatics screaming at us, no, it's not the original, you lie.
Disneyland, we don't care about Disneyland on this podcast.
All right, so the next one on the list is going to be those people who want to do it all. So this could be a first timer. Usually those things go hand in hand.
Sometimes.
But it could just be one of your friends who is like, oh, you know what? I'm spending a pretty penny on this trip, and I want to suck every tiny piece of value out of it that I possibly can. I'm going to eat at all the restaurants. I'm going to see all the shows. I'm going to see all the fireworks. I'm going to go on all the rides. I'm going to do it all.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to happen. But
so we decided that for that, what you really want is a hotel that's reasonably priced, but also is very convenient to get to as many things as possible, so that you don't waste time on the transit between.
Yeah.
All right, so what we do with the value for that one?
For value, we went Pop Century, again, because you're not going to spend a lot of time in the room. So, but also we wanted it to be a decent central location for you to be able to get back and forth to the parks very easily. I thought Pop Century is kind of centrally located.
So Pop Century actually shares property, or it's adjacent to Art of Animation, but it's not quite as expensive because it's older and the theming isn't quite as elaborate.
Yeah. So you still get the location, and it's going to be improved for transit once they finish the Skyliner as well. Just you don't have to pay as much money for it. So that's why we went Pop Century for value/moderate.
All right. And for the deluxe, on the people who want to do it all, we went for the Contemporary. So Contemporary is that hotel that the monorail literally goes straight through the middle of it. So it's on the monorail loop, very easy access to Magic Kingdom. But we also thought that it would be useful because it's actually just one stop on the monorail loop to the Ticket and Transportation Center, the TTC, where you can change monorail lines to Epcot. So really from the Contemporary, it's very easy to go either to Magic Kingdom or to Epcot. And then of course there are buses to both Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. And you can actually walk to the Magic Kingdom from the Contemporary. So that's a great feature as well. We also chose this one just because it's kind of got that feeling of like excitement. It's always very, very busy in there. You go in the lobby, it's loud, there's stuff going on, there's Chef Mickey's right there in the middle of everything. And it's hard to not kind of feel that Disney excitement in the Contemporary lobby.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. If you want to do it all, you need to be really close to Magic Kingdom, and what's closer than walking distance can't be. So, yep, so do it all, deluxe, Contemporary. The next vibe we went with is group. If you're going to Walt Disney World as a group, what type of resort would you recommend for value/moderate?
So again, you're probably not spending a lot of time in your room. You're probably not interested in having like a really cozy location to, to lounge around. If you're with your group of friends, you got, 6, 8 people, you probably just want a place where you can get that many people in relatively close proximity so that you've got a good jumping off point for your day, and something that's easy to get back and forth from wherever you are so that it's easy to re-hook up with your group. So I said the All-Stars. Honestly, I don't really make much distinction between the All-Star resorts. Music. So there's movies, music, sports.
That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
I always feel like there's 4. I guess there's Pop Century, and I always kind of lump it in there, but Pop Century is different. So we've got the movies, music, and sports. If you twisted my arm, I'd probably go music as my favorite, but movies. Or movies. They're not really that much different. It's just a matter of which theming you like. And so they're the cheapest hotels on property, and they are perfectly habitable, right? I mean, think Holiday Inn. Yeah. It's a Disney Holiday Inn, right? There's not a whole lot of frills, but it's nice, and the theming is fun, and it is good for groups, and that's why a lot of the kind of group events, like a cheerleading thing, is always down there. And I think isn't there like a high school baseball tournament that gets played at Disney World every year? They always book the All-Stars for the kids to stay in because it's great for groups. So it's great for groups of teenagers, but it's also great for groups of adults, particularly if you're trying to save some cheddar so you can spend it on something else.
Yeah, if you're going with different people who have different price points, I mean, this is just the most sensitive
That's a good
solution
point,
that you can go with, so that everyone can afford the trip. So yeah. So Deluxe resort, what did we go with for Deluxe?
So on that one, we went for the Boardwalk. I was kind of torn on that because we've had a not so great experience at the Boardwalk. We personally tend to avoid it a little bit, but when we started thinking what's good for a group, the Boardwalk really is it. So if you have a group of adult people who are interested in hanging out, not a mixed group, but an adults only group, you're probably going to want to spend a lot of time at Epcot. And Boardwalk is within walking distance of Epcot, so you can imbibe however much you might prefer and still get home okay. Although we do have an interesting story about one of our friends. He almost made it. Almost. But the Boardwalk also, in addition to being walking distance to Epcot, it is right there on the Boardwalk. There is a dueling pianos bar there. There's like a dance lounge kind of place there. Yep. And you can, and it's there on Echo Lake. So you've got also the option to walk to Hollywood Studios if you want. Echo Lake, but it is.
No, it's not. That's in Hollywood.
Oh, you're right.
Studios.
It isn't. What is it?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Crescent Lake.
Crescent Lake. Anyway, so you've got some boat transport both to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios if you don't want to walk, but both of those are walkable.
I would not walk to Hollywood
And
Studios.
if you're with a group of adults, you're probably more likely to be spending time at both of those places and at Disney Springs more than anywhere else. So Boardwalk is good if your group of friends has a little bit more money to put toward.
Yeah. I mean, Boardwalk, same reasons, proximity to Epcot, because you're gonna, as adults, drink around the world. Let's be serious about that. Don't try and take a drink literally at every pavilion. We've had one friend who's actually successfully did. So shout out to Marco, who's the only person, man alive, that I actually know who's successfully accomplished that, and verifiably. But don't do that unless you're finished. But so yeah, proximity to Epcot, and secondarily, if you're an adult, there's a good chance you like Star Wars. And if you like Star Wars, you're gonna want to go see the Star Wars Nighttime Galactic Spectacular. And so being able to hop on a boat and go to Hollywood Studios is very easy. And they have two of the more adventurous type rides. The Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster and Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, probably the more exciting rides that are at Disney World Resort. So that's kind of why we went for groups to Boardwalk for Deluxe.
All right, so the next one is maybe my favorite, which is the Foodie vacation. We're planning one of those right now to go down to Food and Wine Festival.
Yay, Food and Wine!
Food and Wine Festival! So Food and Wine Festival, if you don't know, is a fall event at Epcot. So drink around the world, plus a bunch of specialty beverages and food items that aren't on the normal menus that they put out just for the Food and Wine Fest at Epcot.
Booths.
And so with the foodie trip, we wanted to expand a little bit just outside of Food and Wine Fest and say, okay, Food and Wine Fest might be where you're going if you're a foodie, but sometimes we just go and we want our vacation to be about having nice meals, particularly dinners. So for the value moderate, we went with Saratoga Springs.
Yep.
So Saratoga Springs is walking distance to Disney Springs. Springs. And so the
you lost your train of thought.
So the food is going to be good there. Yeah. There's always great food over there at Disney Springs. So even if the Food and Wine Fest isn't currently there at the time that you are there, it's still a great place to stay. And they've all got refrigerators because it's a DVC property, so you can take leftovers and heat them up in the microwave that's in your room there, which is great.
If the only foodie event that you go to is Epcot, Food and Wine Festival in the whole year, and you don't do normal, foodie type restaurants, high-end type restaurants, then I call you a faux foodie. Faux foodies should stay at Epcot for certain, but real foodies should be at Disney Springs, because ultimately they actually have real selection of what I call high-end cuisine. So yeah, so that's why Saratoga Springs, you can walk to Disney Springs and You can hit Morimoto's, for instance. That's one of our favorites.
Art Smith's Homecoming is there.
Yep. You got Wine Bar George
just
that
opened.
just opened, you know.
So there are a lot
Enzo's
of
Hideaway.
good restaurants at a variety of price points there.
Mm-hmm.
And we always make it a point to go to Disney Springs on all of our trips,
Absolutely.
even if it's not a Food and Wine Fest trip, because the food out there really is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
All right, so Deluxe. For a foodie trip. If you're going to blow the bank and just do the whole shebang, where do you go?
Just do that. Oh, yeah, Yacht Club. Yacht Club again. I mean, proximity to Epcot.
Yeah.
During Food and Wine Festival, specifically, Yacht Club. And why Yacht Club of all the Epcot resorts? Predominantly because it has the Yachtsman Steakhouse, which is a legitimate foodie place, and it has Ale and Compass. Got it. Ale and Compass, which
up until recently was the most terrible restaurant on Disney property, and now it's actually a pretty decent restaurant. They renamed it. It was so bad, but now it's decent.
Now it's decent. So so that's why Yacht Club.
And we'll give a shout out also to the Swan and Dolphin, which are technically not Disney, but are right there on Crescent Lake also, and have great restaurants in the lobbies of both the Swan and the Dolphin. So honestly, that can be a great foodie stop as well, if you're willing to give up some of those Disney property perks. You don't get all of the benefits, but you get a fair few. You do get extra magic hours and
that's
that
not
sort
what
of
this
thing.
episode's about.
Anyway, I'm just saying.
Honestly, I'd pick Swan and Dolphin for this pick if we weren't specifically asked to select only Walt Disney World resorts, because honestly, it has way more foodie options. It has Il Molino, it has Todd English Blue Zoo, it has Don Shula's Steakhouse. I mean, it's phenomenal, and you still have the proximity of Epcot. And
both of them are very close also to Flying Fish, which is one of our favorites.
Flying Fish,
on the Boardwalk.
Forgot about Flying Fish on the board. Probably, it's definitely the best restaurant on the Boardwalk, but it competes.
Also the most expensive.
Yes. Okay. So that's it for Deluxe. For foodie is Yacht Club. Next on our list is if you're trying to book a luxurious Walt Disney World vacation, which value/moderate resort would you book?
Well, if I'm going for a luxurious vacation, I don't book a value resort.
Yeah.
But if I had to, I would book Coronado Springs because it's the only moderate resort that has a spa.
That's true. Coronado Springs.
And it's a nice spa, actually, and reasonably priced. And also I like Coronado Springs because the walking paths throughout is kind of a larger resort, but the walking paths are actually really nice. They're well landscaped. There's shade on most of the paths during most of the day. There's even on the closer buildings, there will be covered walkways over by like a convention center. So I would go Coronado Springs if I was trying to get myself a little bit of luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree because I think it has the largest lake of any resort in terms of size. So the walking paths are pretty nice, and the lake does kind of cool things off.
They're like walking / biking / jogging. So if that's your thing, then that's a good place for that too.
But since I'm not a spa guy, I'm just gonna have to take your word for it on the spa. So for value moderate, Coronado Springs for luxurious experience. But honestly, as you said earlier, really, you only book Deluxe for luxurious. So
I will point out also Coronado Springs is recently renovated in a lot of spots. So it's also luxurious in the rooms. The rooms are clean. They're recently refurbished or brand new. The sheets are really nice, right? So all of that stuff goes into that luxury feel.
I guess kind of add to that, it's because the conference center is there. They do try and take up another notch, I feel like, at Coronado Springs for that reason. So as you said earlier, though, you really only book Deluxe for luxury. So what's your favorite Deluxe for luxurious?
The Four Seasons.
Okay. Shout out to the Four Seasons. Four certain definitely would win. Unfortunately, it's not a Disney resort.
I don't want to say the Four Seasons. Okay.
Can we have negative children so we have more money? Because if we could do that, then okay.
Okay. So for Deluxe Disney, I think you got to give it to the Grand Floridian. It's just so classy. Right.
Classy.
You got Meisner's Lounge there, which is one of my favorite lounges on all of Disney property. Great service, great drinks. It's actually not super expensive to get drinks there, which is amazing. Citrico's is there, which is a great restaurant. You've got what's the restaurant that does brunch? They've got a really good brunch restaurant there also on the ground floor.
Yeah, I think it's
the Grand Floridian Cafe, I think.
That sounds
The rooms are really nice. They're well appointed. The sheets are nice. The toiletries are nice. It's right there by Magic Kingdom, as we've mentioned. So the view is beautiful, and there is a spa. So it pretty much ticks all the boxes for me for luxury.
Yep. The spa is obviously important for these luxurious trips. And other than that, it's going to come down to the appointments in the room. And I really think that they do a phenomenal job at Grand Floridian with the appointments. Nicer sheets, nicer pillows. And then the bathrooms are.
And also one of the nice things about both Coronado Springs and the Grand Floridian is because of the clientele that typically selects those hotels, you get a lot less of, like, I call it the check-in drama. You have a lot less lines and a lot less, there's something wrong with my room and I need to switch and all of that stuff that sometimes happens at hotels through no fault of the hotel. It just seems like it doesn't happen ever at the Grand Floridian and Coronado Springs. So that always helps with a luxurious vacation as well.
I think they just take care of the situation more proactively than waiting for someone to come down and wait in line and argue in the lobby with the person at the front desk. So that kind of, having a chiller attitude of atmosphere really helps for you to relax. So that's for Deluxe, Grand Floridian, Luxurious.
All right, last category. We couldn't leave it off the list, particularly since we are a dual income, no kids podcast here, vlog here.
Mm-hmm.
The romantic resort.
Oh, romance, smoochy.
All right, so if we're going value or moderate for romance, where are you taking me, sir?
Romance. Port Orleans French Quarter. Good choice. Good answer. So I think that the theming at French Quarter is, it's supposed to be like New Orleans theming, French style, kind of gets you, they say Paris is a city of love. So, French style theming is going to be, get you in that mood, right? And I think, you just kind of transported in a place that gets you all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, I think the water plays a big role in this one as well. You've got the little river going past the property and through the property right there. You can take the boat over to Disney Springs, which is a nice little about 20-minute boat ride.
It's not that
and it is with all the docking and stuff. And it's nice to wander about, as you said. It's just a really beautiful resort. Yeah. And it's a little bit off the beaten path. So I think that if you're going for romance, you want to be not right in the middle of everything. It's nice to be a little bit secluded, or at least feel secluded. Yeah, absolutely. I would take one of those properties on the water, the buildings on the water, and get an overlook view of the water. That'd be the romanciest. Romanciest, that's a word. So for a deluxe romantic, where are we going? The
Poly. That's Polynesian. Yeah, short. I don't know. People like to shorten things. The Contempo, the Poly, it's so fancy. Like
it's all those EDM festival people.
So many times that we just shorten things. Totally Brill. Okay.
It is Brill. The Poly.
Yeah.
It's got that Southern Isles, South Pacific thing going. Southern Isles.
Southern Isles? I don't even know what that is.
That's Game of Thrones.
It's the Azores. Yeah, it's got the Azores theming to it.
Yes, the South Pacific theming, which most people recognize as a romantic type of thing, just generally speaking. All the sand on the literal beach. They've got a beach that you can sit on and watch the fireworks, and they've got a very nice pool, actually, and the quiet pool is actually a really nice place to just lounge around. And I love the lobby. And I think the bar upstairs in the lobby is going to undergo renovation soon. But it will be back, and that's one of my favorite lounges on property.
Kona Cafe.
No.
Kona
No,
Cafe?
Tambu Lounge.
Tambu Lounge?
Yeah. And it's one that's next to Kona Cafe. And
Okay.
yeah, so I vote Polly.
I would agree. Absolutely. Must do a room overlooking for fireworks. That's overlooking the Seven Seas Lagoon there.
And if you have the funds to spring for a villa.
Oh yeah, do it. Do it. We again would have to have negative children for that to work out in our favor. But if you have a large enough family, I guess that makes sense. But we're not really talking about families.
I don't know why you'd go on a romantic vacation with your family.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But yes, Polly, I completely agree because they get that Hawaiian vibe going on, and that's romantic in and of itself.
And if you drink enough spiky pineapples,
you'll
be ready for romance no matter what.
You'll be what? Okay.
You could put a Mai Tai.
I'm glad the woman said that. So the beach there gets you kind of in the mood as well, overlooking the fireworks at night. They even play the pipe and the music, so that alone gets you kind of inspired. And the theming is just phenomenal, and I think it's one of the better themed pools as well. And that's something that's nice and relaxing and can be romantic too if you find a little corner, little cubby for you and your significant other. So yeah, so Polynesian for Deluxe for a romantic trip to Walt Disney World.
All right, so we will put our little table of recommendations below,
in
so
the
you can read
below.
it. If you've actually sat around and listened to us talk about it this whole time, we thank you.
Yes.
Leave your questions, comments, complaints,
please,
all of the above down in the comments below, and we will try and respond in our next video. And I think that's about it.
Yep, and we like to close off each episode with a quote from Walt himself, and today's quote is, "The greatest moments in life are not concerned with selfish achievements, but rather with the things we do for the people we love and esteem." Oh, how appropriate. So thank you guys for watching. I'm Brian.
I'm Janet.
And we are Distinctive.